Good morning, everybody. This is Christy. I am the Intimate Warrior. I thank you so much for stopping by. And as always, I send you love. So this morning which is the morning of the full moon here. Today, of course, is March 28th. A lot has been given to me within the past couple of days. I woke up early and I laid there in bed, kind of just, it was raining here and thundering, so I listened to the thunder, having a deeper sense of understanding at what the sound of thunder and therefore lightning really means. And I was smiling to myself, and I got up, and probably no more than 30 minutes, and I've hit this wall of complete exhaustion. And so that's my state here. Complete exhaustion today. Let's talk about the lightning a little bit prior to me giving you this type of update here in relationship to the Sun in Aries and the full moon in Libra. I mentioned in the other video that when lightning strikes, a spark is created. Now let's go a little bit deeper. We can have a spark that's created within the womb. We have a spark that can be created within our heart. And then we have sparks that are created within our brain. This is the same similar thing that takes place within the brain when the neurons are firing. When the neurons are continuously firing, the brain is at full functioning. My brain for a while now has been firing almost continuously. I feel as if I'm wearing a helmet, and it's very cold. There's no pain at all. Early on in my process, when my brain was beginning to wake up, the firing took the form of major headaches. Now, mine has flipped to comfort. And sorry. I received a confirmation of love as I spoke that. So when lightning strikes, if you witness a lightning, it's since I spoke about lightning, a couple of days ago, I like to go back and double check on my videos. 2 days ago. And the day after, and it could have been that night, I don't recall. 2 days ago. 2 days, I think so. That night we ended up having our first storm with lightning, or with thunder. And again, I smiled that day thinking, I know what this means. And then last night, or yesterday afternoon, my husband and I were outside, and we were cooking lots of food, frying lots of food outside on our porch. And towards the end of everything that we were doing, the last thing that we had to fry, the sky started to get really dark, and the wind picked up, and we started to hear thunder. And of course, it started to rain, and again, I smiled, understanding what it truly meant. The weather is so necessary. It's also a confirmation that the world is waking up. But Earth, of course, she's waking up. The lightning, the thunder, the rain, the snow, All of those types of elements are within us, within our brain, and allows full functioning to begin. The snow signifies the white matter within our brain. The lightning signifies the firing of neurons that take place and begin the process of truly waking up our brain. And the water flows. It's a cerebral spinal fluid and the fluid within our brain as well. All of this is a necessary part of our awakening process. So it's a little after 10:30 here today, and I've been up for a long time. And I knew what I wanted to kind of do a video about, but being extremely exhausted, I was like, I'm just going to kind of wait it out and see if I get some energy to do something. I'd lay here, I'd receive some information, and still so tired. Well, finally here I am, as I have waited and waited to receive more information and to make sense of all things, and to give you something. I have finally gotten it together. Aries is associated with the crown, more specifically the hippocampus, but also, you can, the ventricles of the brain, but the hippocampus, okay, is what we're talking about, which is in the form of memories. It allows us to recall whatever it is we're supposed to recall. Our daily life or past lives, when we get a little bit deeper. The name of God. Whatever it is, again. And please bear with me as I stutter and pause throughout this video. Libra signifies another confirmation of love there. So Libra signifies the balancing of the scales, or justice, equality, judgment. And when we can create balance, of course, we are going through the center pillar that has been constructed out of Jachin and Boaz, of the two pillars. Being able to go through the heart, up through the throat, we're passing the abyss, we get to the crown, we enter the void. So, yesterday I ended up seeing Jesus wearing his red robe. I zoomed in on that vision of him, a prophetic vision. I end up getting different types of visions. Ones that I end up having to zoom in on. Those are more of the prophetic visions. Well, they all are, this is hard to explain. The visions that, and I really don't know how to say this, so. Yeah, I don't know how to say this and describe it, so I'm just going to forget that I even said that. But I do receive different types of okay, I think it's the prophetic visions are the ones that are, of course, going to take place and that have been spoken about. Although, even like I ended up seeing the wrestling with God, vision up close in my center vision without any zooming. Those are the types of ones that are taking place. I hope I have explained that properly. It's kind of hard for me to put it into words. But that is something that I'm able to zoom in on a vision, and from a different time, and whether it's in the past, almost like a remote viewing. And so I just wanted to make a note of that. I ended up hearing a thunder type of noise this morning, and I'm hoping that I'm getting all of this correct here. Well, let me gather my thoughts here. Okay, so when Jesus comes back wearing his red robe in Revelations, this is a form of judgment that's taking place. Not the form of judgment where we are leaving this earth plane, but judgment nonetheless. The wrestling with God took place on Mount Sinai, and this is where Jacob wrestled with God and lived seeing the face of God. This is, of course, within the pineal gland, or in the center of the brain. When you go through, when that middle pillar allows you to go through the heart, the abyss, which is a part of your throat, and associated with also Taurus, the sign of Taurus, which is coming up right here after Aries. We're rising into the crown, where the mercy seat is. This is inside of the cave of Brahma, or King Solomon's temple. This is where the Ark of the Covenant is, the two cherubim who guard the Ark of the Covenant, where we are going to be judged. Now, after I ended up seeing that this morning, which was prior to me actually, waking up, consciously waking up, my body became very cold. I was shivering, and I'm still cold today. I know that when I am cold, there's an integration taking place. Because you think in terms of heavens going into the universe, it's just very cold. You're receiving kind of like cold air. Hot is when we are purging more. Cold is when we are integrating. So when we get to the mercy seat, and we begin to remember, but we don't remember, this is a form of going through the void. Because in order to remember anything, we have to go to something. The void is prior to anything. It's prior to God speaking his name. It's prior to creation. It's just nothing. The void is nothing. yet it is everything. So, in Jerusalem, there was a temple. When they constructed the temple, and I'm going to explain all this. Inside the temple, there was a courtyard. Inside the courtyard, there was a building called the Holy Place. Inside the building was a room, the most holy place. Inside the room was a pedestal. In the center of the pedestal stood the Ark of the Covenant, and on top of the Ark were 2 golden cherubim, facing toward the very center of the entire Jewish world, the mercy seat, the place where God said, I have chosen to cause my name to dwell. So God created the world where he walked with people through a garden. And God always wanted his people, or the people, to come into his presence. God commanded that they build a tabernacle to be the place where heaven and earth could meet, or if not meet, at least bridge the distance between them. Following the tabernacle, there was a temple, and there, in the temple, above the mercy seat, over the ark, the place where God's name dwelt, there was nothing, empty space, the void. Of course, we know that God's presence filled this void. So it made me start to think that because we're at this void space, so what does it really mean in terms of judgment? This is where we are kind of tested, if you want to say tested, reevaluated. We are reevaluated via Libra, the balancing of the scales. How much further are we willing to go? How much have we already learned? Therefore, how much further we can go. The void is that space that allows light to enter into us, that determines and kind of learns all about our physical form and what we have taken in energetically and what we have let go of energetically. You know, to reach pure enlightenment, at least, we have to be able to retain, and of course this is pertaining to our light body, we have to be able to hold at least 96% of light, which means we can have 4% still of our limitations, burdens, whatever it is, left within our physical form. That's not a lot. And the more that we are willing to let go of, between the 96 and 100%, if there has been any, well, Jesus. And he actually, because, you know, when he said, Jesus, why have you forsaken me? Says that Christ still was not 100% pure. Yet, of course, he was pure. We are pure. When we are thinking in terms of judgment here, this is mostly our self-judgment. Things we are holding on to, things that we are blaming ourselves. Because whatever we are feeling, of course, from the inside is going to be a reflection of everything on the outside. Yesterday was a high day of, let's see how far you have come, Christy. The entire family really, for the past 2 weeks, honestly, has been a trial period. reevaluation situation. How far have you come? What lessons have you learned? And let's see if this is going to burden you. Our faith has definitely been tested the past couple of weeks here at the household. Yet, even though it's a household situation, it's individualized as well. How well is each person who is aware of the situation handling this? Are they taking this situation in as a burden? Or do they see it as an opportunity to move further beyond this limitation of this reality? So yesterday was a little considering or compared to everybody else. My perspective, how everybody else was handling it, was a very disruptive day. For myself, I know that I handled it quite well. I knew exactly what was taking place. I also, even last night, about 10, 11 o'clock, last night prior to going to bed, I was going through, because Chiron is also here with us today during this full moon, and has been since I posted the yod. Chiron is that wounded healer. It deals with our womb, things that have not been healed via abandonment, unloved, unworthiness. All those emotions are as a result of Chiron. I had an episode last night that I instantly, and it is such a small little situation, and I realized instantly I was being healed of being unworthy, feeling abandoned, feeling unjust. So as we are now here, situated within the mercy seat, we are being reevaluated. And I hope I have made this quite clear. This reevaluation period to see how much further we are capable of going. The mercy seat is also where God says that He will write. I will put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they will be my people. The law is going to be given, which is, when we're given the law, it's like we're off of the hook of being limited. The law is given to people who cannot obey. You have a set of rules that when these people can't obey the rules, they're in, chaos, the limitations. But when you have been given this law, it means that the law is no longer. You are no longer restrained from the law because you have upheld the law. I hope that makes sense. And I want you to also understand, in order for us to reach enlightenment, understand ourselves, know the answers, we have to be able to get through the voided periods, that emptiness. And there's going to be lots of testing, reevaluation, and this is a major initiation period in how you can proceed. We have to be able to rise to meet God, Source. And we have to bring that God Source back down to exist within this earthly plane. I also, before I let you go, wanted to kind of mention that blissful sensation via the nectar of the bindu, how I think it's going to kind of work. When it is at full functioning, you're probably going to get an overload. An overload of that blissful nectar that you're just going to feel like I did a couple of nights ago. It completely filled my entire crown, and I felt it dripping down my throat, my neck, the top of my shoulders and chest, and just down, and then kind of dissipated. But the emotion, that sensation, it was so... there is just no word that can describe even bliss itself. Doesn't describe it, because if you have never experienced the blissful state, you don't know what bliss means. And you're just going to think, oh yeah, bliss is just that. Oh yeah, I'm at bliss right now, at peace. And it's so much deeper than just saying that you are at peace. I think is what is going to happen is, it would be really nice to, and I told this to God the other day, it would be so nice to be able to have that sensation continuously, but then I probably wouldn't get anything done, because you're at this complete state, and everybody looking from the outside in is going to look at your face and think that you are just insane, because you're at peace, you're in love, you're so content, you're everything in one thing, and it's just amazing and so difficult to describe. But I believe what takes place, because this nectar is the nectar that gives us life. It can prolong our life and give us better health. So it's more to it than a higher state of mind. It is a higher state of being within our physical form in all aspects of it all. That I believe that it comes down kind of like a pouring of rain, a thunderstorm, a great thunderstorm, and regenerates your body the way it's supposed to. You might not continuously feel this nectar dripping, but you might taste this nectar dripping. But it's going to become at a steady pace. That intense drop of pouring of the rain, I believe, takes place. So one, that you know that it's taking place, and that you have reached this certain level. But then it's to sustain you for a given amount of time. Again, like manna did for the Jews within the desert. They were sustained on this nectar that gave them everlasting life, or that life to prolong the heat, the walking without food, nourishment, everything. And it sustained them for a period until it was time, okay, they need some more. God pushes the button when you are always in need. The button is pushed. So I just wanted to add that, and I hope that made sense. Now that I've made this video, sometimes when I am feeling low, or just very fatigued, or very disconnected, because I'm in the void. See, now it's really making more sense. Being able to do something, whether I get up, make myself get up and exercise, or go out for a walk, or do anything, make a video. When I do something positive and productive, I have a different, everything changes. But when we stick within our own pain, when we continuously talk about our pain or our troubles, you stay within that limited mindset. Therefore, your life continuously reflects that limitation. Even with our upgrades, even with us trying to move forward towards our higher self in our connection with God's source, if we get stuck in feeling lower vibration in any way, we're limiting our movements forward. It's really important to do something. And I have to remind myself still to do that. I'm not ever reminding myself anymore. It's kind of an automatic thing. Like me getting this video done. I knew eventually I was going to, but I also took the time today, about 4 hours, kind of just allowing myself to be. And then, of course, I knew I was going to do something. And thankfully now it's shifted. It's shifted because I've changed my mindset. Every time we can change how we are feeling, we change our circumstance. So I hope this makes sense. I hope that I gave you a deeper sense of what is really taking place again, energetically, via the full moon, and how your reevaluation period may be taking place right now. So if you've been having some experiences here lately, it could be a part of your reevaluation period, your initiation to reach a higher level within your spiritual body, within your consciousness, and your connection with God. This is Christy. Much love, health, and healing your way. I am bringing purpose to your life. Take care.